Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us at DSP Electronics today for the Office 365 and how to avoid your data loss. Got Hayley online monitoring the question queue. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to post them in the question and answer box, and I'll answer the question myself, or Hayley will give you the answer if she knows the correct response. So firstly, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Damien Pepper, the CEO of DSP Electronics. Been involved in IT for some 25 years and have a little bit of knowledge about Office 365, which I think is relevant for people to consume. All my contact details are there. If you'd like to reach out to me directly, that's fine. More than happy to help you if you've got any questions whatsoever, and not necessarily just in relation to Office 365, but more broadly in IT. So, software as a service. That's what the acronym SaaS stands for. And one of the things that people think is that when you buy a software as a service product, vendors are looking after you. And look, that's not always the case. It is somewhat, but using Microsoft as an example, and that's what we're going to focus predominantly on here, they will look after the data that is stored on their system, and if they break it, they will get it back, i.e. hardware failure, software failure, as you can see in this graphic. However, should you do something that causes the data to disappear, magically maybe, or you have an external force that causes this data to be locked or unobtainable, then it's your responsibility around the data. So this doesn't just apply to Office 365. It applies to most software as a service vendors. What we're talking about here today predominantly is going to be around Office 365. It also applies to G Suite. And there are products around that will back up things like NetSuite or other third-party software as a service products. So just be aware that in a lot of instances, you are responsible for your data. And again, I'll just reiterate that essentially, if the vendor loses the data, they'll get it back. If you lose the data, they won't be responsible for it. So you need to protect yourself, obviously, from those forces that can cause the data to disappear, and that can be as simple as human error. It also may be a disgruntled employee. So, what we're going to look at today is what happens if that occurs, and how you can get around that. So the misnomer around Microsoft looking after your data. Microsoft's not liable for the loss of data due to any outages. They are also not liable for the loss of data should a user intervene. So this is an expert straight from their SLA, and it gets back to that if you don't back it up, then potentially you might not get your data back. I'll give you an example yesterday. Office 365 for a lot of Australia went offline, and there was instances where people couldn't access email, OneDrive, those types of things. What happened if you needed to get an urgent document out of OneDrive? They're the sorts of things that you need to be thinking about, and things that Microsoft don't necessarily help you out with. So this particular SLA statement is specific to app outages, whereas this is more around what happens to your data if you leave Microsoft for any reason. Now that can be as per a user, just one particular user leaving, or you may be closing down your Office 365 tenant, the area where your information is stored, and therefore the data will no longer be available to you. So Microsoft mandates that they will keep it for 90 days after you cancel an account. But after that period of time, they have the right to delete it and you may not have access to it. So you need to have in your planning process a way in which you can keep your own copy, should you need it, of that data. I'll give you an example. We've got a customer who sold his business a couple of years ago, and he is liable for every transaction in his business for 7 years after the day he finished. So he's got massive amounts of email that he's had to hold on to. Now, one way clearly is to continue to pay Microsoft to have that data stored. But the most economical way is to be able to back that data up so that it can be obtained as quickly as possible and as needed, but not incur the costs that Microsoft want to charge you over the licensing. All right, 1 in 3 businesses have experienced data loss from their online application or storage. Some of you may be aware that you can delete an item in Outlook or OneDrive or SharePoint, and that'll go into your deleted items, which you can easily recover from. There is also an option to obviously delete or empty the deleted items. Now, Microsoft has what's called a recovery period. Now, that recovery period is a time which you can go back and bring that information back from their storage after it has been deleted. The shortcoming is that the maximum period of recovery is 30 days. So if after 30 days you realise that something's been deleted, you don't have a means to be able to get it back and it is all gone. Now, that protects you in one level. However, most businesses need to have some more certainty around options should they need to get data back that's older than 30 days. I'll give you a quick example. We've had an instance where we've seen a customer that had a disgruntled employee, and that employee went through and periodically deleted data, and that data was deleted over a period of 60 to 90 days. So whilst we could easily get back 30 days worth of data from Microsoft, the 60 to 90 days was the issue. A, we didn't know what was missing. B, we didn't know how much data was gone. And C, there is no way to recover it. So at the end of this presentation, we've got an offer for you to help you understand your liability. So that'll come up at the end, but I'd encourage you to engage with us to have a look at options around what you can do to help secure your data. Okay, first takeaway. This is something I want you to remember, that Microsoft and or Google don't protect user data. The same would be said of most software as a service providers. So if you are using another software as a service provider, it's in your best interest to go and ask about how they protect your user data and how can you protect yourself should they not be managing that for you. Okay, how can you recover from lost data easily? Well, you've obviously got some scenarios where lost data or data can be lost. You know, we've got a scenario around ransomware. Ransomware is the most pertinent issue moving around the IT space right now. This is where someone comes along, takes your files, encrypts them with an encryption key, and they take away the key and leave you with the files. The only way that you're going to get that key back is to buy it. They hold you to ransom. Now, in the ideal scenario, you'd have a backup. You simply roll back to the previous period prior to the ransomware, and you have your data back. That's the ideal world. It doesn't always happen. There are plenty of people that are paying ransoms to be able to get that data back. And I strongly discourage you to pay a ransom unless it is absolutely vital, because all you're doing is feeding that criminal activity to continue to head down the path of being able to hold people to ransom. Another scenario is around disgruntled employees. Spoke briefly a second ago about that, where you don't necessarily know what the employee is doing. Are they emptying their email account without you knowing over a period of time? Are they strategically changing data on files that are stored in your OneDrive? The other scenario really is around a user finishing up with an organization and you wanting to be able to keep an archive of that data. Now, some people, the answer is that you pay Microsoft the lowest possible license fee so that you can keep that account open or that account stored, so that data is kept there. Under a backup type regime, you would archive that data into the backup and it would sit there for the period of time which you've got that backup data covered. So how do you recover? The answer is you need tools that Microsoft don't give you. So this is just a graphic on exactly what we spoke about a second ago around managing recovery of data from the entire business or recover from a ransomware. And the key to around deprovisioning users without losing any of their data, the key here is saving money. You know, if you are able to archive it with a backup type program, you're able to save money. So how can you keep the business running during an app outage? And yesterday was a classic example with Office 365. You know, take an example of a physio or a medical practice that may have a particular process or business critical document stored in OneDrive, and they need access to it now and they can't get it. Again, a fast and easy extraction of that data from an online backup storage is going to fix the issue or allow you to have access to that data whilst the Office 365 product is offline. So we obviously have a tool that can help you in this space, and that is called the Datto SaaS Protection, Software as a Service Protection. This particular product we've been using, and we actually have a couple of customers online today that are already using this product. Now, this is a fully hands-off type system. It will continue to back up without any interaction. Predominantly, this product is only available for Office 365 and Google's G Suite. So what can it do for us? It provides efficiency around data management. You can recover quickly and easily from any form of data loss, and you can roll back to a period in time. So in the example of ransomware, you have the ability just to go back to the last backup prior to the ransomware attack. And obviously, as you deprovision users and take them out of your Office 365 environment, you can actually release them 100% from the Office 365 environment and store their data as an archive, and still be able to get access as easily as using Outlook to be able to get those files or get into those emails. Yeah. So in these examples, there are options around rolling the data back for up to 12 months or even further. So it may not be that you just need to roll back one day. You know, there could be an instance where for some reason you need to roll back 8 months to look at a particular file 8 months ago and see what it looks like. Those options are available. Okay, so what does this product look like? Very simple web-based system. This graphic we've got here is actually set up for Google, for G Suite. It provides 3 daily backups. It allows granular restore and export. So that meaning that you can restore a file or even an email item direct back to the original location, or you can export it out to an external device like USB, and whether that's a file or a series of emails, you'll be able to extract that data out. The key is that it's secure and it is 100% away from the Office 365 environment, and that is something that is relatively important in that you've got diversity around where that data is stored. Now, this type of product backs up email, and in the example of Office 365, OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams. So not only does it back up the Teams conversations, it backs up the Teams data. So if you store files within your Teams container, those files are backed up, and the whole container or a single file can be extracted out of the backup at any point in time. So keeping your data safe, what are we doing? You know, the important part, as I said, is it's not stored at Office 365. It is 100% away from Microsoft. It's stored in Datto's private cloud, which is encrypted at both rest and in transit. It is compliant to numerous types of compliancy. There isn't actually a lot of compliancy in Australia around data storage at this point in time. That is going to change in the future. So Datto is already covering off stuff that predominantly suits the US. For the people that are concerned around having data stored outside of Australia, that is not occurring. When you set up this product, it is something that you determine where you'd like that data stored, and it will lock it to that location. And therefore, you don't have any issues around privacy where data is being stored offsite. So as you can see here, it's relatively simple interface. You literally can search by users, you can search by terms, i.e. email terms, and be able to roll back pieces of information very, very quickly. And as I said, they can be restored to the original location, or they can be exported to another machine or drive. You literally select the time. If you were looking for a particular email or a version of a file, is probably a better way to explain it. To take the version of the file, you go and look at what is the time you want to roll back to. Is it 1 day, 2 days? And it literally is a selection of dates, like any normal date picker calendar within Outlook. And once you set that, you set the wheels in motion. You come back and you can see in this example, things take seconds. There's a couple of examples here about minutes, but there was 11,000 items that got restored in 12 minutes. So it really has the ability to roll back quite quickly. We've had an instance where we've actually brought back for a client in the vicinity of 20 gigabytes. It was a case of we set it going around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it literally come back in the next morning and it was restored. Right, so our second takeaway, we can obviously help you with this product. Whilst we think it's a necessity, we need you to understand that we need to help you protect your data, and we want to do that. So what I'd like to offer you today is a free 30-minute consultation for your organization with me personally, and we will take you through what's in place, what are you using around SaaS products, and we won't necessarily just look at Office 365. We'll talk to you about the other SaaS products you might have on site and what options are available. Not saying that we'll have a solution, but we should be able to point you in the right direction. Now, to book a time for that 30-minute consultation, if you follow that link, that will that will get you onto my calendar, and you can pick an appropriate time. Right now, I'll just check whether we've got any questions. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to post them into the chat window. Yeah. So whilst we're just giving an opportunity for people to post a question, I will reiterate that we will put out an email after this that outlines where you can sign up for the 30-minute consultation. And also, later on today, we'll have available this PowerPoint presentation in a video format. So we'll also give you a link to be able to download that. I've just got one question potentially coming in, so I'll just grab that. Okay, great question. The question is, what is the network/internet resource drain, or how much bandwidth does it use? The good part is, this particular product does not use any of the customer bandwidth to do the backup. What the product does is it actually hooks into the back of your Office 365 tenant and does a data center, as in a Microsoft Office 365 data center, data transfer to the private cloud at Datto. And it never actually comes to your premises. So therefore, as a user or as a IT professional or CEO, you never see any degradation of your internet feed whilst the backups occur. I hope that answers the question. That's something I should have said earlier. Okay, that's all the questions we've had so far. But if you do have a question, please feel free to email me, damien@dspielectronics.com.au, and as I said, I'm more than happy to help. But I'd strongly encourage you to book a free 30-minute consultation, and there's no obligation. All we want to do is make sure that you are 100% aware of the options you have around protecting your data. I'm keen to hear feedback from people. If people would like to post something in the questions and chat section around whether you thought this was useful and the benefit you saw. We're keen to continue to do these types of webinars, short, concise, and provide a level of information that we think is useful to the business owners out there. Thanks, everyone. Look forward to catching up with you on your 30-minute consultation. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me again at damien@dspielectronics.com.au. Thanks for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you.